Well, a very, very warm welcome to you and welcome to today's show. Now, this is a whole hour dedicated for planning for the future. We plan for events such as birthdays and holidays, but many of us fail to plan for the inevitable. Today, we're going to be talking about protecting what you own for your loved ones. And the lovely people from the planning crowd are here to talk about end-of-life and estate planning, and we're going to meet them in just a moment. We also talk about something that is, well, it's commonplace in a lot of other countries, and it's called DNA sampling. And the benefits are huge. We're going to talk about them as well in the show. You see, passing away is going to eventually affect us all. It is the inevitable. So stay with us here, and the planning crowd will open our eyes into how we can plan ahead for not just our future, but our loved ones as well. And we call it a selfless act, something that once you do it, it's a weight off your shoulders. There's so much to consider when it comes to planning and making decisions about what you own and what you want to happen to it. And over the next hour, we're going to learn how important it is to make sure you have got those plans in place. Now, let me introduce you to the planning crowd. We have got the lovely Andy Townsend, Managing Director, and fellow Director Ian Peace with us. It's lovely to see you both this evening.
Hello.
Now, to tell us more about, Andy, the planning crowd.
Well, planning crowd, I've got over 20 years' experience in the background of financial services in this area. And the planning crowd, we are quite a large company. Over the years, we've accumulated over 80,000 clients. We manage over £260 million of property assets in trusts.
Yes.
And we specialise in, if you like, end-of-life planning, estate planning, and all things connected with estate planning. That's
fantastic. We're going to talk about so much with Ian and Andy as well. We have got amazing deals throughout the show as well, especially for our lovely Ideal World viewers tonight. I just want you to take a look at the fantastic deals, and we're going to show you how to contact the planning crowd as well. And we've even got callback for you now, so you can text and then they will call you back. It's so easy. So as you can see there, your product, if you want to go for a single will plus a free My DNA Legacy Pack, that's worth £119. Now, the recommended retail price is £248. The Ideal World price tonight is £79, or 4 interest-free monthly payments of £19.75. You can also go for the joint will plus 2 free My DNA Legacy Packs worth £238. And tonight's price is incredible at £119, or 4 interest-free monthly payments. And that's it. Once the 4 months are done, that's it, of £29.75. Now, you can call on 0333 6002 600, or, and this is very easy to do as well, text the word wills to 88802, and you will get a call back from the planning crowd. Now, you need nothing on you tonight. You needn't have to go into all the shoe boxes and at the bottom of the doors, look for forms or anything like that. All you need is to just make that call to the lovely contact centre in Lincoln. And Andy, tell us a little bit more about the contact centre in Lincoln.
Well, we've got a very large team in there. They're all specialist trained because it can be quite a sensitive subject.
Of course, yes.
So they're there. They're very easy people to talk to. They are all trained. As a company, we are IPW registered, so in other words, we are members of the Institute of Professional Will Writers, which should give people a reassurance there. Yes, because indeed. We adhere to their strict code of conduct, and also they're recognised by the Trading Standards Institute, and of course everyone's familiar with the trading standards.
And Ian, I'm going to come to you as well, because I suppose it's rather an obvious question, but who needs a will, and what do we need to do in order to get a will tonight?
There's a very strong argument that everybody should have a will.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably a lot of people might be thinking I haven't got a great deal to leave, but it's actually it's much more than that, a will. It can be very, very selfless just to appoint someone to look after your affairs when you're not here, because that saves people having to go through courts to basically get that authority. As far as what you need today, as you've already alluded to, you don't need to go through your shoebox. You don't really need to fully understand exactly what you want to do, because, as Andy said, everyone at the office is fully trained. Yes. And this is what we do every day. This is what we specialise in. So we will take you through the process from the start to the finish, and we'll only produce your documents when you're 100% happy. So don't worry if you're not entirely sure what it is you want to achieve.
Yes.
If you're like most people that I meet, that something nags them at the back of the mind that I think I should have a will, but they don't quite get around to it, well, this is the opportunity to get around to it. So it's all about taking that first step, really. So I would encourage anyone that's thinking about it, use the text, do the 88802 and text the word wills, or 4033 600 2600. Speak to one of our guys, just register your interest and take that all-important first step, because that's what it's all about. There's only you can make a will, but it's an obvious statement, therefore there's only you that can take that first step, so get in touch.
And Andy, Ian touched on it. A lot of us don't get around to making a will. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think a lot of people don't like to think of end-of-life planning.
Of course,
it's not a thought that is common. But it's also as well because we don't know a date, we can often suffer from apathy and we can easily put it off. It's very interesting that we find that people with terminal illnesses all make a plan and they have a will and give it some thought because they know. Now, we know it's going to happen to all of us. In fact, one person on average dies every minute in the UK. So there will be people that will leave, or have left for work this morning, that sadly won't go home tonight. Yeah. So it is a thought, and whilst it's comforting that we don't know the day at the end of our life, but to put that plan in place there, but once it's done and it's out of the way. Absolutely. But, you know, people do often put it off.
I suppose sometimes we think, you know, oh, we're going to have to think about everything, we're going to have to know what we want to do, but this is where you come in and actually literally take us through everything and make it so much easier as well. I think that's the beauty of having the planning crowd as well. Yeah. We talked about the DNA. Now, how does that sort of fit in with the deals today, Andy?
Well, with a will, we are, if you like, we are leaving our legacy. Yes. We are nominating our beneficiaries. We are telling exactly what we want to happen to our estate, even down to our funeral wishes. DNA just takes that a stage further, and it's quite exciting. It's a very developing area in medical research now. And this is an opportunity to leave a sample of your DNA.
Yes.
Now, we're going to talk about the benefits of this, because the benefits for future generations can be huge in what they can now identify. But of course, what they're working on for the future is very, very exciting. So it's an opportunity to leave, if you like, a little bit of yourself behind.
Yes, of course.
Because, of course, once you've gone, and if you miss that opportunity, as we're going to find out, you're not going to be able to look back and to see if there's anything that could be prevented in future.
And we're going to talk more about that in just a few moments as well. Again, fantastic products and fantastic prices here tonight. If you have just joined us, it's lovely to have your company. When you can see the products together, whether it's the will and the DNA samples as well, and for as little as just £19.75 per month, and that's over 4 months, and that's it. It's a positive step. It's something we all need to do. And when you've got the planning crowd, you know it's going to be so easy to do as well. The details at the bottom of your screen right now. If you want to call the number that you can see, that's slightly different to our usual number. So the number to call tonight is 0333 600 600. And also you can have callback as well. If you want to do that, you can text and you will be able to get a call back as well. We'll give you the details of that right now. So let's have a look at the deals first for you. Now again, single will plus free My DNA Legacy. That's a pack worth £119, and you can have it for as little as £19.75 for over 4 months. That's £79, which is incredible. And then if you want to get a joint will, but 2 free My DNA Legacy packs worth £238, that's £119 and £29.75 just for 4 months, and that's it. The details at the bottom. Take a look at the callback as well. All you have to do is text the word wills to 88802. And that's all you have to do to be able to get the call back. The planning crowd will call you up there in Lincoln. And the number again, 0333 600 600. Now let's move on. Andy, we're going to talk about, just go back to the DNA for a moment. We'll be covering it obviously more in the show and showing how to use it as well. It's so simple. But can you just give us the essentials now?
Yes. DNA kit, this is a collection kit. So very simple. It's a very, very simple to leave collection kit, which will keep at normal room temperature, be kept for many, many years to come. It can have multiple sample use, and like we've already mentioned there, what it will allow is for future tests to be done, especially for our generation, so we can identify hereditary genes which can cause diseases. And in the if you like, the identification of that, we're even looking at research now for the prevention of these in future, or certainly the management of them. So the benefits to our future generations can simply be huge.
And it's been a lot in the media as well, and there's sort of, you know, you hear about the big names and the actresses and things that have been using this and have, you know, sort of taken advantage of this kind of DNA sampling as well. And, you know, to have the prices that we have tonight and to be able to do that, and these are exclusive offers as well for the free DNA packs with the 4 payment options. So a really good idea to go for that as well tonight. What do our viewers need to do tonight to take advantage of these offers, Andy?
Very simply, the offers are very simple, straightforward. If anyone's got any interest in them, just contact us. They don't need to have anything to hand. We've already said we don't have to find the shoebox out. Just ring. People may already have a will, but that doesn't matter because the will may be out of date there. You know, things change in people's lives. But if they've got concerns over what they have, all they need to do tonight is simply make that call or text across, and we will contact them back.
And it's easy as that. You don't need anything else. You don't like we said, the bottom of the drawer is getting all the paper. You don't have to do any of that at all tonight. All you have to do is pick up the phone, and you can even text again. I'm going to give you the number of that again, the call back. All you have to do is text Wills to the following number that you're going to see on your screen, and we will call you back. So the planning crowd will call you back as well. There it is, 88802. Just talking about the DNA sample, because there's a lot of interest in this, as we know. We have such an amazing discount on the prices. We've got the free DNA kits as well. Why is this such a low price? How are you able to do this?
Well, we've obviously come up with this in conjunction with Ideal World. We found that we can reach a far greater audience. This is a launch product for us. We've talked about it once already. This is the first time that we really talked about it on this level. We're already the leading UK distributor of these sample packs here. So what we've done in conjunction with Ideal World, we've come up with a very, very special offer so we can reach as many people as we possibly can.
Now, Ian, I'm just going to come to you for a moment, because we do talk about, I think a lot of people think, oh, I'd love to make that call, but I'll need to know who I want to leave everything to. I'll need to count out what I want to leave to this person. What do people need tonight to start this ball rolling?
Nothing at all. They just need to make that call. I keep banging this drum about taking the first step, but it's interesting that, you know, you meet new people, you get asked what you do for a living. I say, I'm a will writer, and then I usually run after them because they're running away, and say, you know, don't you find that morbid? Don't you find that depressing? And eventually the conversation comes around, and most people say, I've thought about making a will.
Yes.
And I just think that's the vast majority of people. You know, only a third of people in the UK have actually got around to doing it. Like we just said, a lot of people who are diagnosed with a terminal illness will get their affairs in order because they know that the inevitable is close, or sometimes they're even given, you know, the timescale, aren't they? We don't, so we put it off. So all I would say tonight is, don't worry if you don't know exactly what it is that you want to do, but take that all-important first step, because you've got no idea how valuable it can be and how selfless an act it is. Because we not only look after clients from the outset, from when they make that first phone call, we'll hold their hand through the whole process, we'll take their instructions from them, we'll give them advice, and we'll be with them really for the rest of their lives. And whilst this is a sobering thought, we're also there for the family at the point of need. Yes. We offer a fully comprehensive bereavement service so the family can see what that person's done, what plans they've put in place. And I promise you that the families that we deal with, that the person that's passed away has planned, this sounds a little bit crass, but that's nicer to deal with than having to help the family where the person hasn't planned, because that can create all kinds of problems. There's a lot of myth around estate planning. People think that everything's going to be okay. They'll assume that everything's going to be okay. But unfortunately, that's often not the case. So don't risk it. Take that first step.
Absolutely.
Make a call today.
And we'll talk more about that later on as well, and experiences that I'm sure all of you have had and that I've had as well. We talked about making a will, and we are talking as well about the DNA sampling kit. So let's go through the details. I'm going to show you the features of that also, because we have it at a fantastic price, of course, with your wills as well. So you've got the DNA origins, first of all, then testing and samples commonplace in other parts of the world, benefits for future generations with a DNA library, identification benefits, including fingerprint records as well. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the development of this. And Andy, I'm going to come to you for this. So who is behind the DNA sampling kits?
Well, this is a very interesting character. We have introduced him before.
We have indeed, yes.
He's a very interesting, and he'll be watching tonight as well. He's called Derek Forrest.
Yes.
He has an OBE for his services in the police force. He spent over 30 years serving in the police force, and he was involved in world or mass fatalities around the world, forensic science as well. And now, obviously, since he's retired from the police, he's involved around the world in consultancy services around forensic identification. So he's very, very well qualified in this area. He has developed this kit using the latest technology, and he has put this together, which, like I say, is already well used in another country.
Oh,
it's already commonplace, already.
Yeah. He was a very interesting man, obviously an incredible background from Derek as well. But going back again, I suppose we want to know what is DNA? We hear a lot about it, don't we? Sort of, you watch the television, you watch the crime series, the DNA, but what exactly is it?
It's a very long word, and I'm not going to attempt to even pronounce the word. But DNA is the building blocks of life.
Yes.
It is unique to each and every one of us. It is absolutely vital that we have DNA because it's our building blocks. It is vital for our reproduction, for our very lives there. And like I say, it's important because it is unique to each and every one of us.
Yes.
And that's what makes DNA so very special in terms of what we're talking about.
And what are the planning crowd offering today in terms of this?
Well, this is a collection kit. It doesn't offer any testing now, and you will see other kits around that can tell you your ancestry background,
yes,
and what your roots are, and they're very, very good kits. This is something very, very different. This is a collection kit. It involves the actual collection of your DNA. It's in a multiple-use kit, so it can be used more than once, and that in itself is very valuable.
Yes.
It contains a fingerprint kit as well, so it has more than one use. So very simply, first of all, in an identification kit with fingerprints there, if we need, if there needs to be an identification,
yes,
harsh as it may be, then there is DNA and there are fingerprints on file, which also can be used for children as well. And of course, then we come to the DNA collection. And this is important because with medical science now,
yes, of course,
we're starting to look at more and more areas where certain diseases can be identified on the genes, not the diseases or that they can be prevalent in certain cells within our DNA. So this is to collect that. And of course, the benefits for the future can be immense for future generations.
Absolutely. And again, I suppose, why would someone choose to, do a sample rather than just having a screening now? Why would you do that?
Well, medical science is advancing very, very quickly. In fact, there was an interesting article this week here, and there was a couple of interesting things in the article. And he said one of them, it said, at the moment, this is today, at least 350 biotechnology-based products resulting from the human genome project are currently in clinical trials. So we're seeing there that are in clinical trials. So it's advancing very quickly. In fact, yesterday on the news, we already seen about lung cancer. The fact that through this technology, they can identify genes that may identify the presence or a high risk of lung cancer a year before you can see it on a physical scan. And even yesterday on the news, I was talking about the potential for this to save lives. Now, imagine that opportunity for the future, if future generations there can say, well, was this hereditary? Is it something that runs in the family? Well, unless we collect that, once you're gone, you're gone. So this is the opportunity to collect it there and to start to build a comprehensive library which could identify hereditary conditions in the future, maybe prevention of them in the future, or certainly the management of them. But at least if we're aware, then we can do something about it. And like I say, the lung cancer one is very exciting.
Incredible. Yes.
Many other tests as well, which involve in heart attacks, involving other types of cancer. Alzheimer's is one. So it's moving very quickly. So the idea, if you have screening done today in a single sample kit, medical technology will be so far down the road in 10, 15, 20 years' time that sample is used, you can't use it again. With a multiple use kit, this can be used in excess of 50 times. So even if this can be used now, in 10 years' time, it can be used again as we understand more. In actual fact, the report went on to say there are now more than 2,000 genetic tests for human conditions, and it is advancing all the time.
This is incredible, and to hear all of this, you know, because inevitably we plan for the inevitable, we have to, but to be able to have this legacy here, who keeps the DNA sample for us?
Two options, very, very simply two options, and we'll demonstrate how to use it. It can be kept at home. This sample doesn't have to be kept at any special temperature.
Right.
It can be held at what's called ambient room temperature, so it can be safely put away in your house. A more popular option is that people can store it with us. So we keep it and we store it in conjunction with their will. And we store many people's wills, and we store photographs of people and deeds for people, and we keep this there as well. So in other words, when it comes to their legacy, you know, we can keep this in storage, but they can either keep it at home or they can keep it with us. It really doesn't matter. Now,
I'm going to talk about the kit itself. How easy is it to use?
Very, 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 very simple. We've got the kit here. It comes in its own sleeve. On the back of the sleeve are personal details, because it's very important that we fill this out so we know whose it belongs to.
Exactly.
Especially with people with families there, if they have more than one for themselves, and
of course.
you know, the partner and maybe the children as well, to fill in the details. So that's very important.
It's very compact, isn't it?
It comes in a very, very sturdy, almost crush-proof box, very plastic, heavy-duty plastic. And inside the kit, it is very simple. It will come with instructions for taking the fingerprints. It will come with a fingerprint form.
Oh, right, yes. So you get everything in here
very,
that you need.
Very easy to use.
Yes.
And it also comes with an ink pad. So there's no reason to rush out and buy ink. It's got its own. It's all self-contained here. Very easy to use. Just follow the instructions there. Even tells you what finger to put where. Very, very simple. The exciting part, obviously, the kit itself. Obviously, here's one we've already opened. It comes in a sealed package. This is hermetically sealed in a laboratory. Comes with gloves. Comes with, again, comprehensive instructions on how to use it. We have our swab, and we have the part itself, which is the cassette, which will hold the DNA. And very simple, inside. This is the card which will hold the DNA in suspension. This is the technology part, which again is used in world-leading technology. Criminal technology all around the world uses this technology. So it's not a new technology. It's very, very well tested, and it's very reliable. Very simple to use. With the swab, it's just take the swab out. Using the gloves, let me see if we can get the swab out. There we are, it comes out so easy there. And literally, it's just to rub it inside the mouth on both sides for about 15 seconds.
That's all you have to do?
All you have to do. Once you've done that, you simply put it on the cassette, you close it up, you squeeze it for about 20 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds, and just hold it there. Then once it's done and you take this out, you'll see that the paper, if you like, will hold the DNA. You will see that there. Simply close it. That's done.
That's it?
That's it. Once it's done, simply put it back in a bag. This is, again, a very special bag which is sealed. It allows it to breathe and also will give it protection. If you enclose this within the box, along with your fingerprint form, all the rest you can discard. Put it back in its box in the sleeve.
That's incredible.
And it's done.
That's all you have to do.
Store it at home. Store it with us there.
Yes.
And again, it is there. It is preserved for the future.
Yes.
So I say, once you've gone, especially with medical technology, it is advancing so quickly now that how can we see for the future, almost if we can't look backwards? And this is an opportunity for the first time for families there to get a DNA library. And like I say, the benefits for future and identifying diseases, and all sorts of things. The lung cancer is just one of many things happening there.
Absolutely.
It's fantastic. It is already commonplace abroad. In Portugal, this is a kit which is used in Portugal.
Yes.
This is sold in supermarkets in Portugal.
I've seen them.
Yeah,
I've seen
these
them,
are in
yes.
supermarkets. This is sponsored by a children's charity over there. It's a very similar kit. And for children, again, as well, it is commonplace for fingerprints and DNA. And again, it can be used for identification in respect of missing children, because our fingerprints evidently don't change, something I've learnt. And again, this is commonplace to see it. Whereas over here, this is a new concept. And like I say, we are the largest UK distributor of these packs.
This is incredible. And you saw, I mean, that blue box, I just want to show you this again. That blue box that we showed you, that can make all the difference. Thank you. So this can make so much difference to your future generations. And this is it. That's all you have to do. And that's, the possibilities here are incredible for your future generations, for maybe illnesses that may be hereditary. That is incredible. And I have to say this tonight, that box, that tiny box, can make a lot of difference. And also, of course, making a will for your family can make a difference as well. That's why tonight we have got an amazing show and amazing prices on the products. I want you to take a look at it. This is incredible. Let's take a look at what you can do. So you've seen the DNA sampling kit now. So you can have the single will plus a free My DNA Legacy that you have just seen. The recommended retail price is £248 tonight. £79. And if you want to break up the cost for 4 months, over 4 months, and only 4 months, you only have to pay £19.75. Now, if you want to go for the joint will, plus the 2 free My DNA Legacy packs, worth £238, you can have that tonight for £119. Or £29.75 over those 4 months, and that is it. It is a positive step. It is a positive thing for you to do for you and your family, and I think that's absolutely incredible. Now, if you want to call 0333 6002 600. If you'd like a call back, you can do that. All you have to do is text the word wills to 88802, and some lovely person from the planning crowd in Lincoln will call you back and have a chat with you also. We've talked about the DNA sampling kits, and we've touched on wills. We're going to talk to Ian a little bit more now about why it is important to make a will. So, Ian, anyone watching tonight thinking, oh, will I do it? Is it important? What would you say?
Very important.
Yes.
We keep saying that making a will is selfless because ultimately it's kind of the last thing that we do. It's almost our last act. So it's not us that benefit from it. I'm a very, very lucky man. Most of my friends will readily tell me I'm punching above my weight. I've got a beautiful wife. I've got 2 gorgeous sons. All I can do for them while I'm alive is plan for the worst. And in doing so, I have various insurances, but I also have my estate planning in place. And making a will gives me a lot of comfort. But it also gives my wife Jeannie and the boys hopefully some peace of mind, because I know that my wishes will be carried out. There's no ambiguity, there's no doubts, there'll be no problems for them when I'm no longer here. And it's such a selfless thing, because if you don't make a will, some people may or may not know this, if you don't make your own will, you're effectively accepting what we call the government will. There's a strict set of rules called the rules of intestacy, and every adult in the UK that hasn't made their own will, their estate, so everything that they own when they pass away, it's distributed according to this set of rules. And the rules, believe it or not, were originally created in 1925. So life and society and the makeup of families, if you like.
Absolutely, completely different.
Completely different.
This is a stranger, effectively,
Yes.
not knowing anything about you or your family, making the decision through rules.
Yeah, it's one set of rules that's supposed to meet the needs of millions of people, but it's one set of rules for all, and obviously it doesn't. All 3 of us at this table are completely different.
Yeah.
But if we all passed away without a will, we'd all have the same set of rules. It just doesn't work.
Let's have a look, actually. We've got the government will here, which is what we call the default will also. So now this is interesting, because you've got no executors at all. So there's no one in place to deal with something that they may have known you'd wanted. Children inherit at age 18. Children may become a ward of court. The rules of intestacy dictate who inherits. There is no provision for cash gifts or heirlooms, and funeral wishes and organ donations is not catered for. Well, already, I'm sure lots of people are looking at that thinking, well, I want all that catered for, I want to have all that. So if you pass away without a valid will of your own, Ian, what happens?
The technical terms, you said to have died intestate.
Right.
I was very sad to do a bereavement call fairly recently, and unfortunately the lady in question had left it a little bit too late to actually put her wishes in place. We got the phone call to say that she'd passed away, but unfortunately she did so before she'd signed a will, so she knew what she wanted to achieve. But a will is only valid actually when it's signed and witnessed correctly.
Right.
We help our clients achieve all of that. And unfortunately what that meant, this lady had inherited her house from her parents, and she wanted to leave it for the benefit of her husband, but she was on a second marriage. So what she'd actually put in a will through a trust was to allow her husband to continue living there if she passed away. But when her husband no longer needed to live there, that it ultimately passed to her son.
Right.
So it stayed in her bloodline. But unfortunately, because she hadn't signed the will, I had to break the news that the property had now passed to her husband, basically the stepfather, and explain to the son that the only way that he could possibly get this house is if the stepdad kind of did the right thing. And we can't dictate what someone does after that event. You just hope that someone does a decent thing, but unfortunately, that's not always the case.
Yep.
So this woman knew that was a problem, but unfortunately, she really did, you know, it sounds really bad of me, but you kind of think, oh, if only she'd have called even a week earlier.
Absolutely. It makes a difference, doesn't it?
Huge, and it's the impact. What seems like such a small thing, spending 15 minutes on the phone just putting your plans in place and getting them documented correctly and legally, the heartache and the stress that it can save is I don't think you can put a price on it.
No,
to be brutally honest, you can't put a price on it. You'd be amazed at what problems can occur when you don't plan.
Well, absolutely, and as you both know, and I've told the story myself before, that you know, when my father died, there was no will, and it's not that everything just goes automatically. And the things, you know, there's lots of things you have to think about. What did they want? What did they, you know, what were their funeral wishes?
Yeah.
And if it's not there, it's not only a very sad time and a very hard time, but a time as well as you think, am I doing the right thing? Is this what they would have wanted? Did they want? It's so difficult. And had my father had a will in place, you know, at least that part of it, which is, you know, you're going through such a traumatic time, at least that part of it is dealt with by the person themselves for you. It takes the worry and often the guilt. And there is a sort of some guilt there as well, because you think, have I done the right thing? Is this what they would have wanted? Are these their funeral wishes? Now, I've had both parents pass, and that's why I'm going to ask Andy as well, what happens to children if both parents pass away?
Well, with children, they can often become what's called a ward of court, which sounds a bit dramatic, but essentially, if you don't... A will isn't just about passing on tangible items, you can also pass on what's called your parental responsibility. If anyone's got children and they've had to sign forms, they'll see at the bottom of it always says parent/guardian.
Right.
So you can actually nominate a guardian. You know, Jeannie and I have done that for our boys. It's not a nice conversation to have. You know, you don't want to think about you not being there to bring up your own children. But I think even worse than that is not being there to bring up your own children, and then somebody that's never met you, never met your children and never met your family, ultimately makes that decision about where your children go to be brought up, you know, to be brought up by for the rest of their lives, you know. So you might have someone very clear in your mind about, you know, this person loves my children, these are the right people to bring up and look after my kids. Well, don't leave it to chance. Document that that's the person that you want to look after your children. If you don't do that, there's nothing legally binding. There's no guidance. I mean, you mentioned the word there, guilt about your parents. I don't think it's guilt. I think it's doubt.
Doubt.
It's doubt. You know, it's. I'm not sure what I want to happen. Well, there's so many people that you speak to who know what they want to do, and yet they don't document it. And so, unfortunately, if it's not documented, it doesn't happen. So, you know, we implore anyone that's thinking about putting the plans in place, just pick up the phone and
absolutely
make that first step.
I'm going to ask you first, Andy, as well, because I've seen a lot of sort of on the internet, and you can go into a post office, and I know you're smiling already because I'm going to mention this word. Why not use a template rather than using a will? I'm going to step back.
I think the word frustration is a you know, and we see it all the time. With do-it-yourself wills, or they buy certain products and they get a will kit or something there to do it yourself. You know, it never ceases to amaze me, you know, why people would do this. Even if people have got sentimental items and just a small estate, up to people with tens of thousands, or with a property, hundreds of thousands of pounds. And people buy insurance to protect these things. Buildings and contents, we pay 20, 30, 40 pounds a month. That's 300, 400, £500 a year. To ensure something to protect our house that we hope will never happen.
Yes.
But then when it comes to leaving our estate to our children and nominated sentimental things and this and that and the other, not to do that professionally and risk that will failing. And they do frequently, because people haven't got the experience to... they haven't got the experience to, with some of the legal technology, and what they think they're writing in the will, it could be something there which could be actually working against the family.
Of course,
and
yes.
we see that happen. Or it fails because it's not been done in the correct way. And if it's not, it will fail and it will revert to the laws of intestacy. So we spend hundreds and thousands of pounds over a lifetime insuring for something we hope will never happen to protect our most precious belongings, not to spend a few pounds making sure that it will definitely pass on how we want it to. And when we work for that hard for our things and we do accumulate things over a lifetime, for our family, that can be devastating. We offer a bereavement service to everyone that's died, and we see both sides. We see things which have failed, like the one that Ian's just described without the signed will. And we see that, and we see the heartache and rifts it causes in families, people losing inheritances there. For a few pounds, to get it done professionally, we have £5 million insurance up to covering each and every will, if we get it wrong, should give you the benefit and peace of mind of just have it done properly. I can't see any logic in people thinking, I can do it myself. Yeah. If people are, and I will, and I'm getting on my soapbox now, but if people are a dentist, then I'm not going to, I get toothache, I'm not going to try and extract my own teeth.
Exactly.
I'm going to go see a dentist.
You're not going to download and do it yourself, are you?
If my car doesn't work, I will go see a mechanic.
Exactly.
And yet, we see these people in these professions doing a will for themselves. Well, that's our role. That's my job. Come to us, we will do it for you. We're the professionals. And guess what? If it all fails and goes wrong, and it never has, but if it does, you are backed by £5 million of insurance for a very, very small cost. And even with our dedicated aftercare and storage service, it's then updated as many times as you want free of charge.
Yes, of course.
You only have to do it once.
Yeah.
And then we will keep that will updated for you. And isn't that worth the peace of mind for the cost, rather than a few pounds, something there it is high risk, very high risk.
Absolutely. It makes such sense, doesn't it, when you hear about it? You wouldn't write your own insurance policy for your car, would you? You wouldn't know what to write in it. So I think, it makes such sense to have this done by the planning crowd. And now let's have a look at this again for you. Remember, of course, you've got some fantastic prices there, exclusive prices from the planning crowd as well. A single will and free My DNA legacy pack worth £119 for £79, or 4 interest-free flexible payments, only over 4 months, by the way. It's just the 4 months. And you can have the joint will with 2 free My DNA legacy packs. Now, that's worth £238. That's down to £119. And you can have the interest-free flexible payments there as well, remember, of course, for just £29.75. Now, you can call the number below. It's 0333 6002 600. Or you can text the word wills. This is a great service, 88802, and you will get a call back from the planning crowd as well. So don't forget, of course, that's all available for you right now. And I have to say, it is a peace of mind. And thank you so much, by the way, to the happy clients already who've written in to the planning crowd to tell their story and how happy they are. Let's have a look at what Mr. and Mrs. Clamp had to say. And thank you, by the way, to everyone for writing in. We have heard some horror stories about the partners not inheriting from each other, and even children not inheriting from their parents. This wasn't something we wanted to happen in our family, so we took some advice from the planning crowd to make sure we were protected. They were able to show us how we could guarantee that our son would inherit the advice they gave us, and it was extremely helpful and clear. Nothing was too much trouble, and they took the time to fully explain everything we needed to know. It was a weight off our mind to know that we had got everything in place to protect our property, look after each other, and ultimately ensure that the right people inherit. We would encourage anyone who hasn't made a will to speak to the planning crowd and get this valuable document put in place. Thank you so much to Mr. and Mrs. Clamp. And just recapping as well, Ian, I'm going to recap with yourself and Andy, but you're getting 50% off the standard single product fees today. And an even, bigger discount. You get the DNA kit as well. Incredible prices. I mean, incredible value.
Yeah, I mean, Andy mentioned earlier in the show that we want to try and reach as many people as we possibly can, and that's why we do these shows with you guys at Ideal World. The offers, we hope, will give someone that impetus to do something. You know, my favourite saying is that there's only one day in your life, or there's 2 days in your life that you can't do anything, I beg your pardon, which is yesterday and tomorrow. You know, so do something now. Take advantage of these offers, they're phenomenal. I mean, the DNA kit given free as part of this and the discounts off the will, the price is at sort of £19 for a single person and £29 for a couple. You know, it's less than £1 a day for a couple over those 4 months. It's 65 pence equivalent of for a single person.
Yeah.
You know, I spend much more than that on coffee every day.
This is it, yeah.
And, you know, again, Andy's already talked about people paying insurances. You know, I pay insurances for things like my boiler in case my boiler explodes. You know, that might happen. I'm sure I pay more for my boiler than we're doing these wills for. So, you know, take advantage of this offer and make that first step.
What do we need, Ian, tonight? If we want to call now or have the call back, what do we need?
Just phone up and give us your details, and if you've got any questions, speak to the qualified guys at the office. We are members of the Institute of Professional Will Writers. What that does mean is we adhere to their code of practice, which in turn is endorsed by the Trading Standards Institute. The reason that we're endorsed by Trading Standards through the IPW is all our guys are trained. They all have to do something called continued professional development as well. We have to make sure that we're always giving best practice. And, you know, legislation changes all the time. Taxation's only just changed this year.
Yeah.
So, you know, pick the phone up and ask any questions that you've got. But please, just take that first step because it is incredibly selfless.
Yes.
And, OK, you might not feel the immediate benefit of it, but I promise you your family will.
Absolutely.
So please take that first step.
Mr. and Mrs. Malloy did, and here's what they had to say as well about their experience with the planning crowd. So let's have a look at this. My wife and I have been thinking about making a will for some time, but had never got around to doing it. But when we were referred to the planning crowd by a friend, the will and estate planning consultant that dealt with our case was extremely knowledgeable and helpful. We thought it might be a bit daunting and time-consuming to sort everything out, but the planning crowd made the whole process very simple, and our wills were sorted out with a minimum of fuss. We now have the peace of mind that we have looked after each other and our 2 young daughters. We have also something called dedicated aftercare with the planning crowd, which means we can update our will as and when our circumstances change. We can highly recommend the planning crowd to give you the will and estate planning advice. That is incredible, hearing from everyone and hearing what other people have to say as well. I'm going to give you a reminder what's included in the will writing service also, because remember, of course, we looked at things like the government will, which we saw sort of what wasn't there. Let's have a look what is there now with the will writing service. So first of all, now you choose your own executors and trustees. You choose at what age minors inherit. You select guardians for your children. You decide who inherits, not a set of rules originally designed in 1925. My word, how families have changed since then. At least specific gifts of legacies for charitable donations, for example. Document funeral wishes. Now pass on your DNA sample to future generations and confirm your organ donation preferences. All of that included in this fantastic service here at those fantastic prices as well tonight. And remember, you don't need anything. All you have to do is make that call or even just text wills to the number we're going to give you on the screen. That's all you have to do tonight. Now, don't forget, of course, we have got those great products, great prices and interest-free payments as well over 4 months. So let's have a look at those offers right now for you. So you have got your single will and free My DNA Legacy Pack worth £119. And your Ideal World price tonight, £79. Or £19.75. But that's only over the 4 months, and that's it. Remember, other insurance policies every year. 12 months, year after year. This isn't, it's 4 months. Joint will and 2 free My DNA Legacy Packs. They are worth £238. £119, or again those 4 interest-free payments of £29.75. The numbers at the bottom of your screen as well, 0333 602 600, or text the word wills to 88802. That's all you have to do, nothing else. Now, we did mention, of course, that the call centre is in Lincoln, and we're going to now talk to Gareth Fairbrother, who is there right now. Hello, Gareth, you there?
Hello, you all right?
Hello, Gareth. Are you very busy at the moment? I won't keep you long if you are.
Yeah, we're incredibly busy. The response has been phenomenal once again. I would just urge you viewers that if they do struggle to get through because the lines are busy, to take advantage of either the answer phone or the text back system. and we will get to everybody by an hour after the show.
Oh, that's great, Gareth. Thank you for that. And is there lots of interest also in the DNA samples tonight that we're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. There's an awful lot of interest in that this evening, along with the wills.
And Gareth, also, what kind of questions are you getting in from people? I mean, can they ask anything?
They can ask anything they want. The guys that are here are all incredibly well trained on all of the products that we do. The questions so far have been incredibly varied, but we're more than happy to answer any. So even if they just want to ring up with a query, that's absolutely fine. We'll take the time to discuss it with them.
Oh, thank you very much. Now, Gareth, I know you're very busy. We have heard how busy you are, so I'm not going to keep you any longer. But thank you for having a chat with us on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gareth. You take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Ian, we've also got a single will option, just to move on from there a little bit. So that's only £79.
Yeah.
I mean, incredible prices here tonight. Just £79 for the single will.
Yeah, it's incredible value for a professionally written will that's backed by insurance, that's a fully advised recommendation, if you like. It's phenomenal value. You know, I don't want to jump on Andy's soapbox again, but it is kind of mind-boggling a little bit why someone would try and do something without taking advice. But I think it's because I don't think wills and estate planning is dumbed down necessarily, but it's a lack of understanding. I think, you know, one of the reasons people don't always get around to making a will is because of complacency or apathy. They think that everything might be okay, or that it's relatively simple to do and I'll get around to it someday. It's only when they start asking the questions and it really starts to formulate in their mind what they want to achieve that they realise, I'm glad I took professional advice and I'm glad I did this properly. And most people find it cathartic, you know.
I can imagine, yeah, of course.
I've been meaning to do that. I'm glad I've got that out of the way.
Yeah.
I can tick that box and I'll just get on with my life now, knowing that that's in place.
Absolutely. We always talk about it being a positive thing, and that is the thing about it. You are doing something positive for you and for, you know, your family as well. Now, the DNA, we've got to go back to that as well, because it's... there's so many benefits. We're going to read out some of the benefits just now, but it is absolutely incredible. It's included in the prices as well tonight. So let's have a look at the benefits of this DNA. So you have your DNA origins. I'm not even going to try and say the word. You might have noticed that. Testing and samples commonplace in other parts of the world. Benefits for future generations. So you've got a DNA library and identification benefits, including fingerprint records as well. So lots of benefits there, remember, of course, for the DNA as well. And remember, all you have to do is make that call or even use a call back, and you have got that incredible product tonight included, absolutely free. Now, Mrs. Cole took advantage of the planning crowd, and we're going to have a look now at what Mrs. Cole had to say also. And thank you very much for writing in. As I turn 80 next year, I thought it was perhaps a time I made a will. My daughter referred me to the planning crowd. They were able to answer any questions I had, and they made it very easy and simple to draw up my will. If I'd known that it was that straightforward to do, I'd have probably done it sooner. The good news is the will is in place now, and I have peace of mind that my family know what my final wishes are. I would encourage anyone thinking of making a will to speak to the planning crowd. They couldn't have been more professional and helpful in their dealings with me. Thank you so much from Mrs. Cole. Now, so I'm just going to come back to the DNA and the will. So you can pass your DNA sample on with your will then?
Yeah, definitely. There's no point in you leaving a part of yourself and then not making it accessible to your family. So absolutely, you can bequeath it via your will, as you can any other heirloom. You know, there's a lot of people who... family fights, you know, often break out over the smallest of things, not the biggest of things, because... you know, siblings will say that, no, Mom said I could have that, or Dad said I could have that. And, you know, documenting where you're going to leave a specific item, whether that be a DNA sample, whether that be a watch, whether that be a family heirloom, just that one clause in the will can save arguments. You know, families have not... siblings haven't spoken for decades over something that happened when their parents passed away.
Yes.
So, yeah, when it comes to leaving specific gifts, that's just one small thing that that making your own will do, that of course that unfortunately the government will doesn't. But absolutely, when you leave a sample of your DNA, you also express how you wish to leave that. Some parents actually make more than one sample. For myself, I've got 2 boys, so you know I've got one for Zach and one for JJ. So because you know their bloodlines are going to go off as well, so the DNA library can spread out. But leave your DNA, but also leave it via your will.
Absolutely, and that is so true about families. Sometimes the arguments do arise over something as, I just heard my producer say, well, I've got a film memorabilia collection. What do I do with it? It just brings those questions up in your head, doesn't it?
Tell your producer to give me a call after the show and we'll sort him out.
Right, he said he's going to because he needs to sort out his will, he realised, you see. Now, can you remind us, Ian, well, we talked to know a little bit about it there, about the benefits of making a will.
Making a will is about you making choices, you making decisions, very important decisions that otherwise you couldn't make. I met a couple very recently where they were both on the second marriage, got children from previous relationships, and understandably they thought if they didn't have a will because they're married and they've got children, that everything would be fine. But unfortunately, the way that the rules of intestacy works is that in a couple, obviously, there's a first death and a second death, and on first death, for example, if Mrs. died first, her estate would have gone to her husband. When the husband passes away, his estate actually goes to his children to the exclusion of hers.
Oh.
So, and this happens all the time. We call it sideways disinheritance because your estate goes sideways away from your family. There's nothing malicious in it. There's lots of people, I think it's something in the region of about 30 to 40% of all new marriages now are a second marriage or higher following death or divorce. So, there's lots of people on second relationships.
Of course, yeah.
Which is why those rules in 1925 don't really fit the society of 2017. So when you make your own will, you decide things like who's going to sort it out, but more importantly, who's going to benefit. And that scenario, when I sat down with that couple, we fixed that scenario in 10 minutes. Because they told us what they wanted to happen. They wanted to look after both sets of children equally and make sure each other were cared for. Well, we were able to give them the advice, we were able to draft a document, and honestly, that was sorted in 10 minutes. It was actually relatively simple to sort out. And I think that's the frustration, is something can be relatively inexpensive to fix, not take a great deal of time, but actually, if you don't do that, the implications are massive, absolutely massive. There would have been one side of the family disinherited, which only leaves a bad taste, potential bad blood, and obviously, more importantly, it's not what the people wanted.
But this is it, and you're relying on the goodwill then of other people, and doesn't always happen. What'll happen to that Star Wars collection? That's what I'm going to say to my producer, huh? Yeah, you've got to make that will.
Your producer is sweating now, isn't he?
He is. He's a bit worried now. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
He did it a while ago. Well, I've got the cat. Well, provisions. There you go. Got to do that.
Who's he going to leave the cat to?
Well, there you go. Absolutely. Apparently me. I wouldn't do that.
Gift of pets is a big thing.
Well, actually,
Gift of pets is a big thing.
Yes, of course. And who's going to look after them? So this is something that, again, you will be able to help everyone who calls tonight with all of these
People
things.
pay thousands in pet insurance, but actually don't document where they want the pet to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, just put that thought in my head now. Now, we're going to look at the benefits of having your own will rather than the government will. And I say it like that because it really shocked me, actually, what you don't get with that government will as opposed to what you do get with the planning crowd. Let's have a look at this again and show you the comparison. So the benefits of making your own will. Well, you can choose who administers your estate. With the government, no executors, so it's strangers. You decide at what age your children inherit. Your children will inherit at age 18, and that is it. You select guardians. Well, with the government will, your children may become a ward of court. You choose the beneficiaries and your exclusions as well. Well, the rules of intestacy dictates who inherits. You can leave specific gifts when you make your own will, but with a government will, there are no provision for cash gifts or heirlooms. With your own will, you can document funeral wishes and your organ donation preferences. With a government will, funeral wishes and organ donation is not catered for. So you see that difference there. And when you look at just £19.75 per month, and you see that difference there, well, we know what we should be doing right now, making that call, texting that number, texting wills to the number you're going to see in just a moment, and do it now, because we do tomorrow, but, sometimes tomorrow can be too late. It's happened. We've heard the stories tonight. Don't be one of those people that said, I wish I had it done, or I wish they had have done. Make sure you do this tonight, because I think it is incredibly selfless. And then get on with the rest. You've done something great. You've done something positive. Get on with the rest of your life. It's done, and you got it at a fantastic price as well. Doesn't get better than that with the planning crowd. Let's take a look at the fantastic deals again tonight. And don't forget that DNA sample kit as well. So you've got your single will and free My DNA Legacy Pack worth £119. It's £79. We've heard about the benefits. We've heard about the DNA sample benefits. £19.75. and that's just over 4 months, and it's done. A joint will plus 2 free My DNA Legacy packs worth £238, £119 at £29.75, and that is only over 4 months. Now, don't forget, of course, you can call the number at the bottom of the screen or have a callback facility, which is great. So if you do want to call back, you text Wills to the word Wills to 88802, and you will get a call back from the lovely people at the Planning Crowd also. And don't forget, of course, if you do want to take example, these are exclusive offers as well tonight here at Ideal World. It makes sense, doesn't it, to be able to do this, and I think that's why it is so busy, as we were talking to Gareth just a moment ago. Mr. and Mrs. Clamp took advantage of this, and they wrote in to tell us why they were happy. We had heard some horror stories about partners not inheriting from each other, or even children not inheriting from their parents. This wasn't something we wanted to happen in our family, so we took some advice from the Planning Crowd to make sure we were protected. They were able to show us how we could guarantee that our son would inherit, and the advice they gave us was extremely helpful and clear. Nothing was too much trouble, and they took the time to fully explain everything we needed to know. It was a weight off our mind to know that we had got everything in place to protect our property, look after each other, and ultimately ensure that the right people inherit. We would encourage anyone who hasn't made a will to speak to the Planning Crowd and get this valuable document put in place. Thank you so much to Mr. and Mrs. Clamp. Andy, who should have a will and who should have a DNA sample?
Well, it's easy to say everyone, but let me qualify that. It doesn't matter whether you're young or old. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. We all have something in life, you know, our funeral wishes, if we want to make them known, little sentimental items there, even if it's a few £100 or a special gift, or if it's, you know, if it's property and it runs into £10,000, get it done. Get it done now. Yeah, once it's done, it's done. Yeah, and it does give people a sense of achievement, if you like. You know, they feel good about themselves, because we hear this all the time. It's almost a sense of relief on the other end of the phone. With the DNA as well, you know, for future generations to come, it's very exciting. Just to use one quote, it puts it better than I can. It says, researchers can now find genes suspected of causing inherited disease in a matter of days rather than years. And this, you're talking about inherited disease. How can we know if it's inherited if we don't leave a little bit of ourselves behind? So this is our legacy, along with our legacy of our belongings and thoughts and feelings and photos and all of these we can put into a will. So this almost is if you like, a complete. This is, you know, completes everything then, and it gives families peace of mind that when we go see them with the bereavement service there, we can explain it fully. And again, it takes pressure and burdens away from families.
And that is why take advantage tonight. Thank you so much to Ian. Thank you to Andy. And thank you.